Hey, this is Victor Antonio with another Behind the Wheel episode. I'm over here at Starbucks, man. Got my venti flat white today. Oat milk. I found out I was allergic to actually real milk, so now I gotta go with oat milk. Readjust, right? But anyway, today I want to talk about ABC. Always be closing. No, that's not what I want to talk about. Erase that. It's your attitude will drive your behavior, which will drive eventually your consequences. I love that simple formulation. Attitude drives behavior, drives consequences. Now, here's what's interesting. Have you ever thought about this? Like when you're confronted with something, you have a bad attitude sometimes. When somebody tells you something, for some reason, you don't know why, but you have a bad attitude, right? You're asked to do something, I don't know, like prospecting, and you have a bad attitude. There's always a guy blowing leaves when I'm about to do these things. But anyway, there he is back there. Anyway, I thought about where does that come from? And a lot of that attitude comes from like memory. I'm really fascinated by this topic of memory. In your memory, you have past experience and past knowledge of something, of that something in particular, right? So for example, in the past, if you tried prospecting and it didn't work out, you bring that memory forward. So when somebody says, hey, you got to prospect and make your 50 to 100 calls today, your attitude is immediately negative because you have all that past information, that memory you bring forward. See, so here, how do we get past that? How do we push past that so we can actually be more, I guess, optimistic, have a better attitude when we're actually having to do a task we don't want to do? How about this? I remember I read a book by Toyota called The Toyota Way. Yeah, Toyota, right? And in there, they talked about the 5 whys. The 5 whys are, you ask 5 whys to get to the root cause of any problem or situation. For example, if there's a machine leaking, there's oil on the floor, the guy goes, why is that oil on the floor? He goes, well, the machine's leaking. So why? Why? Because the bearings are not, sealed correctly, whatever. And then they go, why? Because we didn't buy new ones. Why? We didn't have the budget. Oh, so the real problem, that leak right there, is really no budget. How does this apply to you? The next time you find yourself in like a really negative attitude, why don't you stop yourself for a moment, have this awareness about yourself and ask yourself, why? The 5 whys, right? Like, why am I in a bad attitude? For example, prospecting, right? And nobody really likes to pick up the phone. By the way, if you like picking up the phone, there's something wrong with you, right? But most of us don't like picking up the phone, right? You got to do the cold calling. You're calling strangers. And then you ask yourself, well, why am I really negative towards prospecting? 1 why. Maybe in the past it didn't work out, right? 2, well, why didn't it work out? Because every time I called, I never got any calls back. Why? Well, maybe because my script wasn't the best. Why wasn't your script the best? Because I just came up with it on the fly. I really didn't have, anybody to guide me. So the real problem is not that you don't like prospecting, it's that you don't have the right script and you're not confident in the script. Now you got the essential problem. Very simplistic example, but you get the idea. The next time you find yourself with a bad attitude, remember, attitude drives behavior, drives your consequences. You got to get the attitude right. But ask yourself in the moment, why do I have a bad attitude towards something? Why am I thinking so negatively? And then ask yourself the 5 whys, and you may eventually discover the root cause of why you have a bad attitude. If you can fix that, your attitude will drive your behavior, will drive your consequence, and bam, you're in the game. Anyway, on that note, Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selenate hard when you have the right attitude, and you know how to get it. Take care.